Story 1. God forgive me, but I would kill him out of kindness and mercy. Edit. Thank you all so much for your kind and thoughtful words. I was not expecting this kind of response. It truly means the world to me. I wish all you beautiful people good health and fortune. Story 2. I would probably be like, we are doing all right, I guess. It is not perfect, but we have made it this far. We have learned a lot, messed up a bit, and we are still figuring stuff out. Life is definitely not what we imagined, but we have got time to make it better. Just keep being curious and do not stress too much about the future. You are going to be okay. Story 3. We have a wife, a little girl, and a baby boy on the way. We have a house, a good job that we love, and plenty of family and friends. We made it, little guy. You may worry you will be alone when you are older, but it could not be more the opposite. Story 4. I'd shoot that person in the face or eliminate it as quickly as possible. Child me had zero awareness of anything outside of his own impulses. There is no way he would ask that. That little person is a skinwalker, and I will not be taken by surprise again. Story 5. I would say, yes, we did. 2 degrees, a 30-year marriage, 2 successful kids, a published author, an expert in a niche subject, well-traveled, some nice money in the bank. It's a far cry from the kid everyone thought was a loser in high school. Story 6. Check out how pretty we become as we twirl around. Transition is the right choice. You will feel better in yourself when your body, heart, and mind align as one. Make sure you tell the transphobic haters to get lost. Be you and be proud. I support you. Now hold still while I do your makeup. Story 7. Hell no. For goodness sake. Finish school so you can get away from your awful mother. Whatever you do, go on birth control. Tell both of those people no, and make your life as exciting and happy as possible. Story 8. I would tell her yes. While I still have pretty bad days, I went on to have 2 awesome daughters who never were abused. Ever. The cycle didn't continue. Story 9. I feel like anything I said would mess with young me's life. If young me could not change based on the knowledge she gained in the telling, she would get depressed or nihilistic. If she could change, the outcome would probably be different and I would have a different answer to give. Story 10. I'd say, nah dude, we turned out amazing. We're winning life. Keep on, and by the way, invest in Apple or Google when you're in college, you hear me? Story 11. Yes, we turned out okay. We married a great woman, have a good family, and make decent money. The world is freaking weird, and there is a lot of negativity, but if I sit back and evaluate what is local, the world is not that bad. Just learn to freaking control your food habits, man. Trying to fix that now is hard. Story 12. Coming from a family that did not go to college, with an alcoholic abusive stepfather, yes, we did well. All 3 of our kids are college graduates, we are retired, and our 4-year-old house and cars are paid off. Our kids and grandkids call or visit every day. My loving family is the most important thing in this world. Story 13. Things got so much better once we forgave her and realized we are autistic. Get some help. Also, stop bullying our cousin. It poisons the well for years. Story 14. You know how everyone says it gets better with time? It really doesn't. You still feel every emotion, but you learn to suppress it. I don't think it's worth it. Story 15. We end up with the life you are secretly daydreaming about now. You are going to make some mistakes and try to derail everything, but stay true to the dream. You will be blown away with the blessings coming. Story 16. I'm not sure I could look that sweet, innocent, and kind little girl in the eye and even hint at the chaos that will be her life. I could honestly tell her that I think we turned out to be a good person, so I would just have to leave it at that. Story 17. We did it. So much was out of our control, but you learned to love and believe in yourself. You always stayed true and found a way to laugh things off or see the positive side of things. Thank you for not giving up on yourself or joining those gangs. Your inner strength and beautiful soul have been recognized and rewarded as you've gotten older. You've achieved so much and have even more to contribute. You're humble but know how to be generous and confident with those around you. And my goodness, are you loved, popular, and wealthy? You married the most amazing woman who's your best friend and gives you 2 amazing kids. You always stayed loyal to your friends and learned to cut out toxic people. Now you surround yourself with amazing people, speak your mind, and let your actions earn you respect. You're still the same kid at heart that finds a way, no matter what the odds, and doesn't make excuses. You've traveled the world, been to Disney World, and made those around you better. Story 18. Yes, despite the terrible luck of the parents you were born to and the spouse you were tricked into loving, you did learn how to love yourself eventually and became a pretty interesting, varied individual. I'm proud of you, and I'm here for you always. Story 19. A lot better than expected overall. I came from an abusive household, and the rest of my family ended up really messed up because of my dad. My student loans felt impossible to overcome for many years. I moved out of state and found a job, partner, and friends that ground me, along with lots of therapy, and the past 5 years could be defined by the word security. Story 20. Honestly, little me would probably be like, did we screw it all up? Laughing out loud, but to be honest, I'd say we did okay. Had some bumps, but who doesn't? Life's kind of like that roller coaster you didn't want to get on, but now you're like, yo, that was wild. Still figuring stuff out, but we're surviving and vibing. So yeah, we're good. Story 21. Not really. That feeling of loneliness you feel now will be so much worse in your 40s. On the plus side, the folks are still alive, and you have been to Machu Picchu. Story 22. We are doing a lot better than we were expected to. Still poor and broke often, but there is food and a roof, and I manage to make it happen every month. I have been homeless, been hungry, but we do not have to do that anymore. Considering the circumstances I came from, this is amazing. Story 23. Look, life did not go as planned, but you have your own place, met the love of your life, and are very financially secure. Get through the roller coaster and it will be okay. Story 24. It depends on what I thought back then and the age of my younger self. Before 13 years old, I may not have been ready for some philosophical life wake-up call. After 13, my younger self should understand it in a better way, which may help me keep hope for later on. Anything far from my mom's home can't be bad. Story 25. I tell home we are not doing as well as we dreamed we would throughout school, but we are doing well enough for now, and maybe doing even better here soon. I would tell him we have found love and lost it, been stabbed in the back and got over it, and climbed up out of some deep pits of despair. We are tougher now than we ever pretended to be back in the day, and most days we are content, if not happy. Then I would tell him to try to be nicer to folks, including himself. Story 26. Do not worry. Your life will get infinitely better when the doctors figure out what is wrong with you and help you get better. Hang in there, little one, you got this. Story 27. It was a long road with many turns and dark stretches. Sometimes you lost your way, oftentimes you walked alone, occasionally you led. But it eventually led to a very good place, and you learned to be a good person and have finally learned to be the best you can be. Just keep walking and keep your chin up. Story 28. You already know that mom and dad are dumb. Long story short, look for a psychiatrist after high school because it will make many things much easier. It's not just for mad people, it's also for different people, and in some ways we are indeed different. Story 29. Hey buddy, we turned out nothing like you could ever expect, but we're a dad. We're super happy, and we're raising the most amazing kids ever. We've healed a ton of generational trauma, and you'll learn in about 20 years what that word means. Story 30. I would tell her she was perfect in every way. She turned out to be a successful artist and just received many important grants for a book project. She is doing very well financially and is happily married to the most charming man. I would exaggerate, of course. Story 31. On paper, you nailed it. You left this family. You have a good career. You are highly educated. You bought a house by yourself at age 26. You have 3 cats. You always have chocolate after dinner. But you are never going to feel anything. If you're lucky, you'll fly into a depressive mode and scream and cry until you pass out. Then it's back to feeling nothing. We turn 27 soon, and I've still never felt happy. I don't know what happy is. I probably don't even know what love is. I just think I love my boyfriend. We're just hollow people and nothing will ever fix that. Edit, that's a lie. I would just cry and apologize to her. I'm sorry we couldn't get better and that we never stopped wanting to be birds who could fly away. I'm sorry you have to grow up and live like this. Story 32. Just remember it's okay to lie to kids for their own good. Yeah, you betcha, champ. And then give him a list of frenemies and the winning Super Bowl champions from the early 1990s up until the present. Story 33. The odds were always against us. It will be hard and you will falter, but that is not failure. However, you will be better off by 35 than you even think possible now because of the work you will do. Forgive your mother and tell her you love her. Story 34. Nope. We are broken still in our mid-40s. Collecting labels such as complex post-traumatic stress disorder, autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit/hyperactivity disorder, irritable bowel syndrome, myalgic encephalomyelitis/chronic fatigue syndrome, etc. We had to cut off our family due to the abuse and neglect not stopping even as an adult. We still don't fit in anywhere. Story 35. I'd say we had some really good times and really bad times, but where we are right now, we're doing okay. We're in a good place. But 4 years ago, we had a different path we could take. I would recommend ripping that bandage off, dealing with the trauma and drama, and choosing the other option. Story 36. So, you know that trauma that you're currently going through? It will prepare you for what is ahead. It will be far from easy and unbearable heartache at times, but we are resilient and stubborn. Treasure your friends and remind them that you love them often, because they will be taken from you much too early. Story 37. I'd sit her down gently and nod but tell her to stay strong. My inner child deserved and needed so much, and I would let her know that I'm in charge now. That things won't be okay for a while, but they will be. Story 38. We are going to make it, but you need to keep moving forward. Keep your chin up at school. Keep avoiding drugs and alcohol. And keep believing that what I say is true because you are going to go through some really difficult challenges. But we are going to make it. Story 39. I would say yes. So far, so good. Aside from an appendix, the liver is still good. You make a decent and honest living. Your girl is a total badass. And in 2024 or 2025, you need to seek it out. But life is beautiful. Enjoy reality. It will not exist much longer. Story 40. While the road of life was and is still full of bumps, detours, and dead ends, we are not hungry. There is a roof over our heads, and we have love. We are okay. Story 41. Surprisingly, yes, you might still be money hungry, but you are living a bit too well, given your circumstances. The only thing I would do differently is skip university and just work at McDonald's or anything while investing in real estate. This way, we can end up in 10 figures when very young instead of 8 figures when much older. The aim is the top 0.01%. Everything else is unimportant for the money-hungry side. Story 42. No, but that is a problem for the future you, not the current you, so enjoy life while it's still fun. Also, please make friends with real people and not the computer. Story 43. On a good track, but we need to take care of those around us and let go of grudges and check ourselves more often. Also, Adrian isn't going to be around as much, so stop being such a dumbass and be nice to him and Oscar because they look up to you. Story 44. Man, you're not going to believe this, but you have more kids than mom and dad have. And you're a happy, proud father. I always hated kids growing up and never thought I'd meet someone who would love me, let alone that I would be a good father. Story 45. No, we didn't, and they murdered our dad like I said they would when I was the age that was appearing before me while using people in the medical field to make sure it happened and was covered up. They also went back to abusing kids, just less severely than they did with me. Story 46. I'd lie. I wouldn't want to be the person to remove my own spark. If I couldn't lie and had to tell the truth, I'd probably tell them we've done all right, but we're still not there yet. Thought I was this year, but that turned out to be wildly wrong. Story 47. Could be better. Could be worse. It's going to keep getting worse before it gets better, but it will be great someday soon. Also, we are girls. And bisexual. Laughing out loud. Story 48. We turned out better than you could have imagined, considering where we came from. Child me would be so proud of me. I just wish my own children were too. Story 49. We turned out as best we could given the environments and circumstances we've been in. It's not how I would have ever planned it, but it's not an unpleasant life. Just keep learning to be independent and don't stress yourself so much, especially in university. Graduate school is not worth it. Story 50. I would tell her that we did. She didn't know how much she was in survival mode until she was an adult and could create her own peace and security. But good God, does the rage live in her as an adult? Story 51. It all depends on whether or not I think that my comments might affect the timeline. I would be sorely tempted to point out a few pitfalls, but who knows what unintended consequences that could have. I could tell myself to go to sixth form rather than technical college and end up dying in a bus crash that I otherwise would have never been involved in. Even if I lied and said that everything was fantastic, that could cause young me to become either complacent or arrogant in bragging, leading me down a potentially even worse path. The best thing I could possibly do is minimize exposure to the future and hope for the best. Me from the present could then focus on falling down the rabbit hole of trying to discover how and why my child's self, or an image thereof, was transmitted forward in time. There are so many ways a life could unspool at so many temporal inflection points. Honestly, it might just be best to have a stiff drink and go to bed. Story 52. Man, like my whole life so far, it just got gradually worse until about 4 years ago when it started picking back up. Things aren't rosy, but I've recovered a lot and finally have stability. I'm still relatively young, so I hope it continues to improve. I guess it's getting better.